We're going to go through all of your cold weather and wet weather triathlon tips, gear, and nutrition leading up to the White Lake Pro-Am half. Let's go. All right, it's race week. It is Tuesday. We're going to go do a 2,000-yard swim. Just easy sets, nothing crazy. Get the shoulders and body moving.
0, 1, 0.
All right, that was a good swim. 2,000 yards, ran into some friends, caught up. Now we're gonna go drink a protein shake and get cleaned up.
0.
All right, we're gonna pack for the half tomorrow. It has been downgraded. Hello. It has been downgraded to a semi-half, so the swims on the 2-loop bike course is now a 1-loop bike course, so the bike will only be 28 miles instead of 56. I personally am not upset about that. The bike is my least favorite. And then the half marathon, the weather's supposed to be like 50 and super rainy, so gonna be a tough one. I do particularly like a good challenge of conditions. I think that comes from being a more experienced triathlete. I think, so I think if you're a newer athlete and this is your first race, that it may be a little intimidating, but we're gonna walk through today on what I'm packing and how to pack for like a rainy weather and a cold race. So here we go. I've got my Orca wetsuit. I really enjoy this. It has a lower neck, great shoulders, thin arms. Gonna need this one for tomorrow. So as I walk through, I start with the swim. Gonna go ahead and pull out. Don't need headphones. Bring a cap, and I'm gonna bring a few pairs of goggles. I got these kind of leaked on me in the last triathlon, so this is the bag I'll use. I love it. It is from LMZ. And so what I want out of here, I'm gonna bring my cycling gloves. Don't think I'll need the sunglasses. Need to charge this. Don't forget to charge all your electronics. This is my road helmet. I'm gonna bring the skull cap. Actually, I'm not, because I'm using my aero helmet. Just kidding. So I've got the long sleeve gloves. These are for sure a necessity, and I will be putting these in a Ziploc bag so that they're not wet when I get on the bike ride. They are Castelli arm sleeves. Very nice for cold weather. So 2 of those, check. And I'm gonna put those. I have Castelli long sleeve gloves. I'll be honest, I hate for my fingers to be cold, but it's wet, so I'm kind of torn. I'm gonna bring them. So I've got my warm weather stuff here for the bike. I've got this guy. Don't think I'll wear it. I'm gonna bring it though, just for peace of mind. It's a high-vis, somewhat of a windbreaker. It's not really waterproof though, and I learned that one day because I did ride with it in the rain. And so I don't think I'm gonna bring it, but I don't think I'm gonna use it. And then I've got some toe covers. Now I used these at the Pinehurst Sprint, probably didn't need to. I think I'm gonna bring them, but probably not use them. They were kind of hard to pedal with and a little clunky, and I think they're just gonna get wet. So I'm not sure I'm gonna mess with those. So my tips, if you're dealing with wetness, is to bring some material that's not gonna be too baggy and wet. You don't want a cotton, you want some like cycling made material for the wetness. It's gonna be a miserable 28 miles if you've got cotton arm sleeves or big baggy windbreaker, stuff like that. So I plan on putting all this stuff in Ziploc bags so that in transition they're not wet. Put them on. It's worth a few extra seconds, I think, to have that dry. All right, while I am doing my bike warm-up, I just want to follow up on a few things. So I mentioned I got my bike cleaned, new chain, new tires, new sealant. I took it out on the road last Wednesday and it was super fast, so I'm excited to see what it'll do tomorrow. Definitely recommend when you get your bike worked on that you take it for a spin first. Nothing new on race day. That's the #1 rule. Don't try anything new on race day. Today, what this week's look like, I haven't really done the best job with documenting stuff, so I did a swim. Monday, I did a bike run on Tuesday. Did another bike Wednesday. Yesterday, took off, and then today I'm just revving the engine. Just a little bit, probably about 30-40 minutes. Alright, I changed my tactic up a little bit. Instead of the gallon bags, I'm going to go with a double shopping bag to keep my stuff dry. The gallon bags are becoming a little clunky and I don't want to fight with them. So I just double bagged some shopping bags. I've got my Tokyo Asics in there, my awesome visor I love, my race belt, and then I'll put this when I do my nutrition. So as you've seen, when I'm doing my packing, I do it in order. So I get all my swim stuff together, I get all my bike stuff together, and then I get all my run stuff together. In that order, and then you pack it. And that way you're not forgetting anything. I've got my sunscreen, don't think I'll need that, but I'll put some on anyway. And then I will use some KT tape on my ankle as prevention for an ankle niggle, and then I always have to put a little piece on my chest because sometimes the zipper of my tri-suit will rub it raw during the run. I have a new tri-suit, I just opened and wore it once. It didn't feel like it was going to do that, but just in case. Alright, let's go over some nutrition because I don't feel like I'm going to want to film this in the morning. Since the bike loop is now cut down to one 28-mile loop, that'll probably take me about an hour and a half. I'm going to drink a 320 in a bottle, Morton with 80 grams of carbs. The goal is to get 80 or more carbs on the bike per hour. And then I will take a 40 on like the last part of it. So that's for the bike. I'm gonna take this before the swim. I will take this right before getting on the bike for the run. This is what I did with my marathon, so I know it works. This is what I've been training. This is what I did my half with. Every hour, one of these, 40, 20, 40, caffeine, 20. Good morning, we made it. It is race morning, and we're gonna put our drink mix in here. We're gonna drink our Red Bull. I'm gonna prep another water bottle. Prep our drink water bottle. Eat some rolled oats, some yogurt. With some honey and maple syrup, which I'm enjoying. And then we are gonna go crush this race. Let's do it. We're here to talk about the White Lake Pro-Am Half race recap. We're gonna try to make this pretty short. The earlier parts of the video covered leading up to race week, and it proved to be a challenging day. 50 degrees and rainy, probably the most challenging conditions, or the most challenging conditions I've ever raced in. The bike loop was cut down from two 28-mile loops to one 28-mile loop, so the race was shortened, but it was the best decision from the race organizers. I couldn't have imagined being out there for another hour and a half for age groupers like me. I did want to touch on the professional field. To start off with, it was a professional race. It always has been. A few years in the past, up-and-comers like Grace Alexander and Trevor Foley have attended this race right before they've broken through on a larger world stage. And this year we had a strong male field and female field. On the second loop, there's a two-loop swim. And on the second loop coming out, there was a female in the mix I saw, and it was, of course, the Margarita Ryan who took the win for the pro females. Being a fish in the water, she led out in Ironman Texas and was no different at this race, getting in the mix with the men who started 2 minutes ahead of her. It was pretty impressive. So she won in the pro field for the women with a time of 3 hours and 6 minutes, followed by Dominika Jamanique with a time of 3 hours, 11 minutes, and then Leslie Hummel at 3:16. In the pro men, Luke Jones with a time of 2 hours and 39 minutes. I believe when I was heading out on my second loop of the run, he was finishing. Super fast time there. And then Matthew McGorry with a time of 2:42, and then Garrett Mayo with a time of 2 hours and 47 minutes. The prize purse for each one of those fields was $5,000. This is a PTO bronze level race, so kudos to the race organizers for making this happen for those pros that traveled a long way and spent money and were able to come out and race even though it was under different conditions, so we appreciate that. So for me, the swim was probably one of the worst swims I've ever had. It was choppy, cold. The water wasn't cold. The wind, I think, was just blowing on the water. I ended up with a 47-minute swim. In comparison, last year I did it in 42 minutes, so that's almost a 5-minute difference. I do think the course was a little longer this year, but either way, I just didn't feel that great in the water. Got onto some feet on the first loop and then lost it, and then just chilled that second loop. Came out of the water. It was cold in transition, and wet, trying to get on the gear. And what I mentioned in the earlier video, I had put my my transitional bike stuff and I used shopping bags. And when I got to transition that morning, everyone had garbage bags, and I'm thinking, garbage bags. So bring garbage bags, better than shopping bags. So that's a tip for you guys out there if it's wet. I couldn't put on my long-fingered cycling gloves. They were too tight and it was wet, so I just put on my short-finger cycling gloves, which I proved to regret doing. Put on my arm warmers, put on my helmet and shoes, and out I went. Transition took a lot longer than normal because of the conditions. That's all right. Got out on the bike, felt good on the bike the whole way. Had a little carrot in front of me, trying to just follow some people, and it was windy on certain parts. It's somewhat of a not an octagonal, maybe more of a pyramid-shaped loop. And there was some tailwind and some headwind and some crosswind. It was quite challenging. Needless to say, coming back in, I was grateful not to have to go back out on a second loop. It was cold. By the time I got into T2, my fingers were frozen. Not literally frozen, but to where I couldn't move them to unclip my helmet, and so I was fumbling around. I was trying to unclip my helmet and get my gear off and put on my running shoes, so even T2 was a little slower. But once I got going, I was good. The goal for the run, my bike took about 1 hour and 32 minutes. I pushed 133 watts, which for me is pretty normal. I didn't really crush it. I just rode consistently. So 1 hour 32 for a 28-mile bike loop, and then out on the run. So I'm on the run. The goal or the strategy was a 4-minute run, 1-minute walk with an average pace of sub 11 minutes, and that's exactly what I was doing. It's an out and back. So the first out and back, 3.5 out, 3.5 back, and then you do that again, 3.5 out, 3.5 back. Very flat course. I like that, but it was rainy and windy, and the first out and back, I was holding pace, and I held pace my 4-minute runs about 10 minute, in between 9:30 and 10 minute, and then the walks were the 1-minute walk, and so it was averaging out to about 10:45 minute pace. But it got slower and slower and slower, and so towards the end of the run, I just had to start running because I was losing my pace. So the last 3 miles, I just gritted in and buckled up and ran, and I'll tell you, I dug deep. It was probably the deepest I've dug on a run. But good news is I PR'd my half marathon, 2 hours and 21 minutes. So that was a sub. It was right at 10:50-ish minute per mile, which for me is great. And I'm just super excited about that. The hard work finally is showing. And yeah, I showed up on a tough day. I'm really proud of the effort. Talked to my coach. I'm gonna ordered a sleeveless wetsuit for Challenge Roth. I think that's gonna be helpful with the arm mobility, and just trying to practice on more open water swimming, getting more efficient in the open water, and continuing to work on my bike. And then, getting excited about Challenge Roth. This race was a real
test as to where my fitness is, and I'm just ready to crush the next 8-ish weeks of some hard training and knock it out in Challenge Roth. And here's the medal, love it. So if anybody's interested in this race, White Lake Pro-Am Half, first weekend of May, White Lake, North Carolina. It's a great race put on by great people, and yeah, come out and have a good time next year. Cheers.